We finally got the iPhone 15 Pro Max in, and the first test up, as always, is the drop test, where it's going head-to-head against the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Now, the iPhone has two things going for it this year. The headline feature, of course, is Apple went with a titanium frame instead of stainless steel, which is supposed to be even stronger than before, especially compared to the Galaxy's aluminum. But more importantly, titanium allows the iPhone to be significantly lighter, which in the context of a drop test, everything else being equal, less weight translates into less force upon impact. On top of that, the iPhone is still using Apple's specialized ceramic shield on the front compared to the Galaxy's Gorilla Glass Victus 2, and it also has a flat screen on the front compared to the Galaxy's curved display. But with the new phone comes new concerns, and the iPhone has a couple. The edges of this new phone are a little bit rounded, whereas before they were completely flat, so I kind of feel like it doesn't sit as flush with the frame as it did before, and these bezels on the front are thinner than ever, which could actually be a negative factor for it in terms of a drop test. But whether or not it is though, well, there's only one way to find out. But if you don't want to find out with your brand new iPhone, check out these cases from our sponsor in Casetify, who sent out their new lineup for the iPhone 15 series with the Impact case, which is drop-proof from 8.2 feet, the Bounce case with an insane 21.3 feet of drop protection, and all new for this year, the Ultra Bounce case with a whopping 32.8 feet of drop protection. Now, in order to achieve this, the Ultra Bounce case has 6 layers of protection. There's the Ultra Bounce corners, which look even more protective than ever, with these new corners looking like they're gonna absorb a ton of impact. There's a built-in camera cover with this padded little bit on the inside. You've got a hard shell bumper, a hard shell back plate, this X-shaped lining to help distribute shock further, and then of course Casetify's EcoShock inner lining, which when we tested a big old block of it compared to the material that competing cases use, you can see just how much more impact absorption there is on EcoShock. And with the final touch of Casetify's screen protector, this iPhone 15 Pro Max is ready to be dropped alongside the other phones to see just how well it stacks up. Round number 1, backdrop. 3, 2, 1. After that backdrop, oh man, the iPhone's rear glass shatters. You can see the initial point of contact here with the cracks spiderwebbing all the way up and across the iPhone. Whereas on the Galaxy, while it also cracked, the damage is mostly contained to the bottom left and the top right corners. Both phones have their camera lenses pretty scuffed up, although a lot of that is just concrete debris with it wiping right off. But either way, the result here is clear, with an easy win for the Galaxy in round number 1. Of course, with the Ultra Bounce case on it, this other iPhone 15 Pro Max is still fully intact. That protective layer over the camera housing definitely did its job with some scuff marks on the case itself, but underneath it all, the iPhone still looks perfect. Round number 2, corner drop. 3, 2, Okay, before we take a deeper look at the results, let's play back that iPhone footage real quick, because it did something I don't think I've ever seen before, with the iPhone's titanium actually creating a little spark as it made contact. But the good news is, despite the theatrics, the titanium itself doesn't look all that bad. In fact, after wiping it off, it looks better than the Galaxy's aluminum, which kinda dug into the concrete. But the thing is, with the iPhone, the rear glass is starting to fall apart though, with a big old chunk of glass missing right there at the point of impact. So this one could go either way. Both phones still are fully functional, but each has its pros and cons in terms of how it did. So I'm just gonna call it a tie in round number 2. Of course, the best result is with the iPhone with the Ultra Bounce case on it, which pretty much lived up to its name, bouncing on impact. And after wiping it down, the case itself didn't even get all that scuffed, with the phone underneath it all still looking like it's brand new. Round number 3, face drop. 3, 2, 1. Wow, so chunks of glass flying everywhere after that face drop, where unfortunately both phones shatter. I was really hoping that the iPhone would go back to the days of the iPhone 12 where it was actually able to survive these drops, but it doesn't look like that's the case here. I don't know if it's due to the iPhone having slightly rounded edges this time, or if it's due to the thinner bezels, but the iPhone didn't do well at all, with what looks like 2 major points of damage here, with spiderwebbing then going all over the place. The Galaxy, on the other hand, looks even worse, with a bunch of deep cracks going along its edges, which presumably is due to it having a curved display. But the good news is both phones still remain fully functional, even that in-screen fingerprint scanner on the Galaxy and Face ID on the iPhone. So this is a really close one, but a slight edge for the iPhone in round number 3. And just like you'd expect, the other iPhone with the Ultra Bounce case on it and that screen protector on it remains perfectly intact. The screen protector seems to have done its job here, with it actually suffering a small hairline crack, although it's only on the screen protector and not on the actual display, which is really what's important. But I'm not going to take off the screen protector just yet because we still have one more drop left to go. Bonus round. Okay, with all phones still remaining fully functional, we move on to the bonus round, where we're doing one final drop onto steel, this time to test each phone's shock resistance. In 3, 2, 1. Jeez, okay, so the iPhone's rear glass seems to do this every year, where as soon as it suffers any kind of damage, it just begins falling apart on subsequent drops. Whereas on the Galaxy, it looks mostly the same as it did in the last round. After doing our 15-point inspection, both phones still remain fully functional. The fingerprint scanner on the Galaxy still works despite having a small crack through it, and Face ID and even that 5x Tetra Prism lens on the iPhone still seem perfectly fine. So again, a really close one, but because it held up a little bit better round over round, it's a slight edge for the Galaxy in round number 4. Taking a look at the iPhone with the Ultra Bounce case on it though, after removing the screen protector, underneath, the glass is perfectly intact, just like the rest of the phone, with not a single scuff or a scratch on the body, which is the only result you would ever want on your brand new $1,200 phone. Okay, with all 4 rounds in the books, let's take a look at the scorecard. In the first round, even though both phones cracked, the Galaxy did significantly better than the iPhone. In the second, the 2 phones each suffered a similar amount of damage. In the third, the iPhone's flat display seemed to give it a slight edge. And in the fourth round, the Galaxy held up just a little bit better than the iPhone did, giving the slight advantage to the Galaxy in this drop test. Although both phones took a toll, so I'd definitely consider getting a case if you're worried about dropping your phone. And if you go to casetify.com/PhoneBuff, you can get 15% off of your order. What I like about Casetify is you can get your case to look super unique to you. There are hundreds and hundreds of different prints to choose from, and you can even add in your own custom text on the back. I'll put all the links and info you need down below in the description. But anyways, that is it for me in this video. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the very next episode.